Are you tired of feeling frustrated and lost in your dating life? If you're ready to say bye to the mixed signals, to time wasters, men who just break your heart, this is going to be the best video you ever watched, because I'm going to be giving you 15 powerful tips that I implemented that took me from a girl who was always in relationships that went nowhere to attracting the love of my life, to finding my husband in records time. And if you implement these tools as well, you're going to get the same results, and you're going to start attracting high value men who want to commit to you. So are you ready? Let's dive in. Tip number one: never entertain a hot and cold guy. If he's showing up one day super interested in you, and then he's gone, and then he comes back again like nothing happened, this is a behavior of a man that is only coming to you when he gets bored, not because he's serious about you. This is the behavior that you do not want to ignore, and you want to address it immediately, because if you entertain it, this is going to happen for a very long time, and it's going to lead into disappointment, and I don't want that for you. But that's not all you have to do. Tip number two: if he's coming on too strongly, be wary. When a man is very intense at the beginning, tells you that he's been waiting for you all his life, you're the one, he's never met anyone like you. And these words, I know they can be intoxicating, but what is actually happening is that he is addicted to the chase. He wants to grab your attention right away, woo you, not because he's actually interested in you, because let's be honest, he doesn't even know you yet. So, how can he know that you're the one for him? He is addicted to that feeling of getting a woman's attention and hooking him and then moving on very quickly. Has it ever happened to you? It's happened to a lot of women. So be wary of this guy. If he's too intense, he is not for you. Now, before I get into the next tip, which is going to help you save a lot of your time and not waste your time, I want you to hit that subscribe button, because I want you to have the relationship of your dreams, and I upload weekly videos that is going to help you do exactly that. Tip number three: if you're questioning his interest, he's not interested. When a man is interested in you, he's going to make it abundantly clear. You will never have to wonder. But if you're doubting where you stand with him, if you're not sure whether or not he's actually that into you, he's not. When I was dating my husband, I never questioned whether or not he wanted me. He called, he texted on a daily basis, and he saw me, he took me on dates 2 times a week minimum. He would make sure that before he dropped me off from our date, he had me in his calendar for the next date. He would say, okay, let's see what date is going to work for you. He would want to make sure that he wasn't going to lose me. He's not going to risk losing you. He knows how the dating scene works. So if he's interested in you, he's going to make it so clear. And if you are not sure where you stand with him, it's because he's not that interested. So do not get over invested in him. Make sure that you have your options open and you're seeing other men. This next tip is going to help you avoid getting stuck in uncertainty. Number four: focus on his actions, not just his words. Words are cheap. You want to see whether or not his actions match his words. Is he only saying the right things, or he actually follows through? When he says he's going to show up, when he says he's going to call, when he says he's going to take you on dates, when he says he's going to introduce you to his family, when he says he's going to propose to you, all those things matter. The things that he's telling you that he's going to do, you want to see he actually does them time after time again. Women come to me saying that, but he says he would, but what? If he's not doing it, his words and his actions are not matching. And what are you going to do with words? So please pay attention. Very early on, you will see whether or not when he says he's going to show up, he will be on time. If he's going to call, he will. If he's going to be late, he's actually going to let you know. These are the things that you do not want to ignore. Now, the next tip is so important to pay attention to, because this is going to ensure that you end up with the right guy. Tip number five: notice how he responds to your boundaries. When you say no to something, when something does not feel good to you, how does he respond to it? Does he respect it? Does he go along with it? even though he might not actually like it. Like if you don't want to get too physical on a first few dates, and he really wants to, but does he hear your no? He respects your no. These are the things that you really want to pay attention to, because it shows what type of a guy he is, and you want to end up with a guy that really respects women, and he will show you by you showing him what are your boundaries. A lot of women just become very easygoing and just go with the flow and try to please him and don't show what their boundaries are, and then they end up in relationships that men have no respect for their boundaries, and that is not what I want for you. So make sure that you state your boundaries, you show your boundaries, and pay attention to how he responds to them. Now this next tip is going to be a little tricky, but it is life changing. Tip number 6: lean back and observe. As a high achieving woman, I know when you want something, you want to go and get it. You want to make things happen. And if that is the approach that you have taken in your relationships, my guess is that it hasn't served you well. When you have tried to make things happen, you plan things on date for your date together, you call, you do all the things in a relationship, you overfunction. What starts to happen that he starts to drag his feet, and it does not feel good to you, and you get into a little bit of perhaps arguments, or you just try to make him do them and he doesn't do them. The secret to that is that you actually have to lean back and observe whether or not, if he's going to take the action, if he's going to move things along, if he's going to make the plans and make sure that the relationship is staying intact. If you have to work hard to make it work, is that what you want to do for the rest of your life with this guy, even if things worked out with him? So it is really important that you lean back, you allow him to step forward, because the chances are that if you do, he will step forward. It's that when we lean forward, that he has no choice to lean back, and that is not what you want. Now this next step is going to really save you from a lot of future heartbreak. Number 7: don't settle for potential. This is something that I used to do all the time. I would see a guy and see who he could be instead of who he was in that moment. I was ready for a commitment. I was ready to get engaged and start to have a family. And the guys that I used to be with, they were not. But I thought, hey, I could help them. Hey, if I'm in a relationship with them and they're going to fall in love with me, and then they're going to feel motivated, but they weren't ready. They were not emotionally available. They were not financially ready for a family. They were not in their careers. They weren't there yet. So I wasted so much of my time just staying in relationships that went nowhere, because I settled for the potential instead of looking for who I wanted as a match of who I was in that moment. So please don't settle for potential. Look at a man for where he is and really see whether or not if he is where you need him to be in your journey. And while I'm telling you not to settle for potential, it is also important to consider number 8, tip number 8, which is don't look for perfection, look for compatibility. Everybody's flawed. There's quirks, there's things that we all have. Your future man will have that will annoy you, and you will do things that will annoy him. So we're not looking for a perfect man, but what we're looking for is compatibility. And it's important to have these conversations so you know early on whether or not your values align, the things that you want for your future align. Does he actually want to get married? Because believe it or not, there are men out there that they never want to get married. They never want to have kids. Women too. So it is important for you to actually see whether or not you're compatible. Figure out what are the things that you value. Is family something that you value? Religion, spirituality, in terms of finances, in terms of real estate, home ownership? What are the things that are important to you that you really need to be on the same page? So you want to be looking for compatibility instead of looking for that spark that a lot of people look for in a relationship, while forgetting everything that actually takes to have a healthy, loving harmonious relationship. So don't look for perfection, but definitely look for compatibility. Now, the next tip that I'm going to give you is going to change everything. This is something not a lot of people talk about, but trust me on this one. Tip number 9: the first 3 months mean nothing. I know it's a hard pill to swallow, but if you listen to me, it's going to save you a lot of heartache. In the first 3 months, there is so much excitement, there is possibility, there is this newness. And when that happens, our bodies naturally start to feel really good. We have all these feel good hormones pumping through our veins. And when that happens, we are on our best behavior. That's just what happens. So when we are on our best behavior, we let things go easier. We are more easygoing. We are not making a big deal out of anything. We are more appreciative. Like he brings you a flower and you just gush all over it and you're so happy. And he is telling you you're beautiful every single day. Everything is feeling so good. And it's not because he's trying to manipulate you or anything, and neither are you, but you're just feeling good and therefore you are behaving in your best behavior. Now, what starts to happen is that after 2 to 3 months, all these happy hormones start to wear down, like the newness of things start to slow down, and the true colors of a person in a relationship starts to show up. If he has any fear of commitment, it's going to show up. If he is not somebody that is actually going to follow through, it's going to show up. So while it is so cool to enjoy all the nice things that he does for you for the first few months, and I'm not saying to not enjoy them, but don't make it mean anything until 2 to 3 months, 3 months to be safe, and see if he continues, if he's still going to be consistent. If you don't make it mean anything, and you're not going to get over invested and you're not going to get your heart broken. The powerful tip that I'm going to give you, tip number 10, is let him progress the relationship, don't lead. When it comes to a relationship, majority of men want to be the one that progress it. They want it to be their idea. But women can get ahead of a man. You start posting your pictures online. You start introducing him to your friends and family before he does. And all of a sudden, he feels like, oh, I'm in a relationship. And it wasn't my idea. It wasn't that I tried to make it happen. She just put me in a relationship, and that's not what I'm looking for. It's not because he wasn't looking to be in a relationship, but he wanted to work for it. He actually wanted to kind of convince you to be in a relationship with him. So it's so important for you, again, to lean back and let him progress the relationship. Let him be the one that does things and then you follow. He introduces you to his friends and family. Maybe later on you do, but don't get ahead of him, because when you do that, first of all, he may not be the guy that actually is right for you, and he's not an action taker. He's not somebody that progresses a relationship, and it's going to be really frustrating to be in a relationship with a man like that. Trust me, I know. Or now that it hasn't been his idea, you have taken the joy of something that a man has in when it comes to moving the relationship forward away from him, and now all of that magic is gone for him. So don't make that mistake. Let him progress their relationship. Now, the next tip that I'm going to give you may sound really obvious, but you'll be surprised how many women make this mistake. Tip number 11: don't ignore red flags. Like I said, I know it's obvious, but you'll be surprised how many smart, incredible women, when it comes to a guy that has a few things that they really like, he's really good looking, he comes from a good family, he says he wants to get married, they get excited about him, and then they ignore the fact that he was really rude to the waiter. He's talking poorly about his ex. All he talks about is his ex. His For You page is one after one women in bikinis, and they wait around for him to change, and they think that he's not going to treat me poorly, or he's going to learn from how to speak to other people. And guess what? That doesn't happen. It does not happen. And it always end up with women being so frustrated, even if they stay in those relationships. They just feel so stuck and exhausted by it. So please, please don't ignore red flags. If a behavior is just a no for you, this is does not fly with you, it's not acceptable, don't ignore it. Either have a conversation and see if he is going to change it, and see if he is going to see if he follows through. And if he doesn't, he is not the guy for you. Now, the next tip is also going to be really important. I hope that you listen to me when I tell you tip number 12: do not text all day long, please. Please don't do it. I know when you're excited about somebody, all you want to do is talk to them. You really like him, you want to show him a cute selfie of you, of your outfit, what you had for lunch, what happened at work today. But if you keep texting all day long, what end up what ends up happening is that he is going to feel kind of underwhelmed. You're taking the mystery away. And men love mystery. They love to actually have to get to know you, do something that they get the information, they get the good stuff from you. So if you're talking, texting all day long when there is no mystery, guess what? He's not going to want to ask you out. He's not going to feel motivated, and that's not what you want. So please don't text all day long. Keep the mystery, pace yourself, and let him actually work for it, take you on dates, and gradually he gets to feel rewarded for seeing you, and now he gets to know what's going on in your life. Now, the next tip also going to save you from a lot of heartbreak. Tip number 13: don't assume exclusivity. I know it is easy when things feel really serious with a guy. You really like him. It seems like he really likes you. To you, it doesn't make any sense to see any other guys. You think he's not going to see any other women. You assume exclusivity. And this happens so often because women come to me assuming that, with tears running down their faces, because they found out that he actually was not exclusive. He was on a date with another woman. And I know it's very difficult. But the truth is that if he hasn't asked for it, if he hasn't asked for you to be exclusive with him, the chances are that he's not exclusive with you. And he doesn't actually expect you to be exclusive with him. So I really want you to prioritize yourself. You are dating to find the right person for you, right? So don't close your options. Don't assume that he is the one for you when he hasn't asked you to be exclusive. Otherwise, like I said, it does not end well. So I want you to, like I said, prioritize yourself and keep on dating until both of you have agreed to be exclusive to each other. Now, speaking of things not to do, it brings us to the next tip, number 14: don't go with the flow. If a guy tells you that he's just going with the flow, he will see what happens, this is a sign for you that this relationship is going nowhere. It's going nowhere. If you're dating with intention, if you want to end up with a guy that is serious about you, wants a commitment, wants to be with you, then you want to steer clear of the guy that is telling you he's going with the flow. He's not intentional, he's not serious, he is not going to get you the ring that you want, the relationship that you want. And that's what you deserve. So stay clear of the guy that is going with the flow. He's dating casually. And when he's not intentional, it's not going to go anywhere. And that is not what I want for you. Which brings us to the final tip. And it is really the most important one. Tip number 15: knowing when to walk away. The ultimate sign of self respect is just that, knowing when to walk away from a situation that is not serving you. not hanging on to a relationship out of fear or attachment when that person is clearly not the one for you and is just wasting your time. I know it's hard, but you can do it, because the sooner you let go of a person that is not the right one for you, you open up the space for the right guy to come along. You open yourself up to meet other people, meet other men that are in alignment with you, which actually will have you meet the one way sooner rather than later. There you have it, ladies. These are the 15 tips that are going to transform your dating life forever. Dated for me. We recently celebrated our 200 engagement. Yes, 200 client of mine just got engaged to the man of her dreams by applying these tools. And of course, there is more, and I want you to get everything that I know when it comes to having the relationship of your dreams. So make sure that you like this video, and tell me in the comments which one of these tips helped you, which one of them you have to work on. I would love to hear from you, and I will see you in the next one.